Welcome back, and this will be the second upload in the series for how to mod your equipment, whether it be in-game or a modded piece of equipment you've downloaded. This is the Mod Hub page if you're looking at this, and some of the modded equipment I've uploaded to Mod Hub. Okay, so let's get right to it, and basically what you need to do is understand, first and foremost, you're going to need a couple things. One thing is a WinRAR, copy of WinRAR or a zip editor, okay? I use WinRAR. It's free to download. And another thing you're going to need is Notepad++, okay? And this, again, is for editing zip files and such and so forth. Anyways, here we go. So get those programs if you don't already have them, and to find the two different various types of equipment. One is in-game equipment that came with the game, okay, and one is your mods. They're in two different file locations. Understand that, okay? And so I'm going to show you a mod that I had downloaded, and it is in a form of a WinRAR, and it is a header. So what we're going to be looking at is how to alter the work speed of a harvester, which is determined by the header work speed. The harvester has a top speed, but the actual work speed is determined by the header. So this is what we're looking at. It is a case 3162 header. What you're looking for is an XML file. If you have Notepad++, look at the shape of this and color texture of this icon. These are all default file associations that change the look of the icon to look like the Notepad++ icon. So that makes it easy right away to know what you're looking for. The second thing is you're looking for the XML file, not the description XML file, just the XML file. And we're going to open that. I just double click it, and because of file association with Notepad++, it just automatically opens this into an editable format. There are a few things you can do. There's some things you can't do. And now, of course, if you know a lot about modding, you can change anything. But for the basics, and unless you want to spend a lot of years learning how to do mods, this is for the simple guy. And we're just going to come in and edit some numbers. And some of the things you can edit is the lifetime. It defaults at 600. This is a default programming within the Farming Simulator game that says basically after a certain amount of time the repairs are going to become more and more expensive, and eventually you need to just replace that header with a new one. Well, that is determined by the lifetime, which is defaulting at 600. If you push it up to 1000, that's like a placeable. It doesn't wear out, okay? It still needs repair, whereas the replaceable doesn't per se. That's also deeper in the programming, but for all intent and purposes, you'll still do repairs, but you won't get into that cycle of you'll need to replace it. By changing it to 1000, you can change the price. Let's change the price of this one to, let's call it $39,000. I think originally it was $89,000, okay? So we're going to change the price in the store to $39,000. We have a lifetime of 1000. Now let's deal with what can this header harvest. Typically, a regular grain header will only harvest grains. That means wheat, barley, soybean, okay? Those kinds of things. And that's determined by a default selection called a grain header. It's defined deeper in the program, but just so you know, a grain header will only do those things. Now, here is your speed limit. I've got it set to 26. Let's change it to 25. And that is still a very reasonable speed to harvest at. I find 10 kilometers an hour, which is default for this header. Almost all headers, when you get into the big harvesters, it's like watching paint dry. Whereas 25 on a big field still seems very reasonable if you're sitting in the harvester. So that's why it's setting at 25. The next thing we're going to look at is how to make the header harvest more than just grain. And you're going to keep scrolling down, and what we're looking for is seed fruit types. Okay, and this is what I'm looking at, these headers, and just keep coming down until you see the seed fruit type, or cutter, pardon me. This is a fruit type category. The cutter is what we're looking for. This typically, never mind any of this here, okay, this is what I've added. This will have the parentheses right behind the R, and then the / arrow behind grain header. That's what it is stock. That's why it only does grains. You can add in maize header. That is corn. And in the game, they don't call it corn in the programming, okay? They call it maize. So you have a grain header, and you also have what we call a corn header, but the game calls in the programming a maize header or a cotton header. So now this header will not only do grains, it'll do whatever a maize header does, and that is sunflower and corn. It'll also do cotton. Now I did add sunflower again, okay? And rape, it's actually rapeseed, but the game calls it rape. That is canola. That's the technical name for canola. And then these are, I'm not sure if they're grains or not, but because they're not in the base definition for a grain header in the game, because these are extra fruit types, I've added them as well. So now this header will do all the grains. That's wheat, barley, soybean. It'll also do, now with the maize header, it will also do corn and sunflower. It'll do cotton, and it'll do canola. Again, I've added sunflower just for duplicity. And then the extra fruit type of sorghum and triticale. The E is followed directly by the parentheses and then the forward arrow. Okay, so if you want to alter yours, it'll just say grain header. You can just copy this from another one or print it in just like I have. Again, making sure you have a space between each of the words and no spaces between the final grain type or fruit type and the parentheses and the forward arrow, and no space between the first parentheses and the first letter. Okay, that's important. Once you have that, you can come down here and there's still something else we can alter, and that's the wear duration. If you watched the first video, if you didn't, watch it. I'll explain it more in depth in the first video, what this does. But basically, this is altering the repair cycle. In other words, the time between you need to do repairs. And you'll notice that you'll need repairs because either the grain header is slowing down. You're not at 25, which I've set it at. As it needs repair, it's going to slow down. In the big fields, I'm finding that the default in the game, you can't even finish a big field without it slowing down. That's why I've altered this to the number that I did. The wash duration or dirt duration is how quickly it gets dirty. I think default is 90. I don't believe it gets dirty as fast as the game has preset it. I've altered that to 590, basically 5-6 times longer before it gets dirty. And the wash duration is defaulted at 1. I've changed it to 0.50, and that is how long you got to hold the pressure washer on it to get it clean. Okay, I kind of skipped through a lot of stuff there because I've already covered that in the first installment. You can see, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see another how to mod your equipment, and I describe those things more in depth. So for sake of not repeating myself too much here, that's what you need to do. Now, important reminder again, the game cannot be running when you alter these files because you must save them, and it cannot save them while they're in use. So the game cannot be running. To save it, just come up to the file here, click on file, and just save, not save as, just save. Left click that, the file will save, and you'll now get another dialog box. When I close this, you can just go ahead and exit out now that we've saved it. This second dialog box is actually from WinRAR. What we're doing is we're changing the archive. In other words, the actual zip file is being altered, and this program is saying, hey, you've changed the zip program. Do you want to update or save it within this zip file? And the answer is always yes. So we'll close this. We'll close this. We'll fire up the farming simulator, and I'm going to hop into my case harvester, and I will show you that I have in fact changed not only the working speed of the header, but which fruit types it can harvest. Okay. Oh, darn it all anyway. I'm on the wrong map. I've got to change that. Sorry. My screw up. Yeah, I know I'm a rookie. We'll try this again. And we want to be on this map, and the reason being is I have a field ready to go on there. Now, if you have course play like I do, this game is actually on a fairly fast computer. The game itself is on a M.2 SSD. It loads very quickly. If you have course play added now, the more fields that you save the courses for, the longer it takes to load the game, because it has to load all that information as well. So if you have course play and you're wondering why your load game is, or your load in is taking longer, that's why. Typically I'd already be in the game and in the harvester, but it does extend your loading time. Okay, here we are. So what we're going to do is, it's now going to load the course play. I'm just going to jump straight into my case 9240. Oops. Take that off. We'll jump in, and I have a field ready to go. This is canola, and again, it's been so long since I've run a stock header. I don't think a regular stock header would harvest canola. I think you have to have the corn header, but I could be wrong about that. Again, it's been so long since I've used a stock header, and I mean back to FS13. But I don't believe it would do it. But anyways, we are going to just set this up to harvest, and we'll set this up, and I'm going to show you if I just even hire a helper, which I've just done. It's now going to harvest at 26 kilometers or 25 kilometers an hour. I've changed it from 26. There you go. You're harvesting at 25 kilometers an hour, and it's doing what I believe is would require a multi-fruit header. If I had corn or something growing right now, I would show you that. So we're just going to dismiss that helper, and that's basically it. Now, if you want to alter the capacity of the harvester, I will quickly show you that while I still have you here. And we'll go into the, I don't think that was it might have been a mod. Let's just double check here, and I'll sort by name the other way. And we're looking for the case. There's the 1660. I'm looking for the actual flow, and I don't believe it's there. I believe I'm using the stock case. Here's the difference. When you're altering stock vehicles, okay, you now must go not into your mods folder to find your mod, which was the 3162 header, which I found in mods. You must now go into the actual game file, which is in wherever you've downloaded the game to, not your documents, okay, or your save game. So you go in. Mine is on Drive E, and I go into Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, Common. If that's too quick, just go back, rewind, and now here's all my Steam games that I've downloaded into my computer. Here's Farming Simulator 19. We'll open that up. What you're looking for is the file called Data. That's where all your placeables and vehicles, whether they're trailers or implements or whatever, are stored. This is vehicles. Okay, we're going to come in here, and we're going to look for case. Okay, here's the case IH, and we're looking for the actual, whatever, 9240. That is the harvester I'm using. I'll open this up, and again, because I have Notepad, I can easily see one of the two files that it is that I'm looking at. I just know for, like, if this is not a multi-unit section, meaning like you could have a Fent 1050. You could have multiple different case whatevers. Okay, I just happen to know, and you can hover over it. See, it says this is the XML file in the description. That's what I'm looking for. This one will be the XML description, or an i3D. I believe there's a description file here too. Okay. Anyways, we're going to open up the XML file. Okay. You can adjust your horsepower, the price, all these things in here. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here, because if you want to know how to alter speed, you cannot just change the numbers. You must watch that first video to change the speed or horsepower of a particular unit. But for capacity, we can just come up here and search and find, and what we're looking for is capacity. Okay, and here's the capacity. This is the brake compressor. So that's not the right one we're looking for. You just come over here and hit find next in this search window. And here's another capacity. I have changed it to 80,000. Okay, if you want to change the capacity, how much fuel you hold, you can do it here. Okay, so I've changed it to 80,000 is the capacity of the harvester. Okay, now here's one more thing that you might find very interesting. When you up the capacity of the grain of the harvester, the unload speed, in other words, when the pipe is out, how long does it take to unload? 80,000 now. I mean, the thing only regularly held 10,000, and it was based on time or liters per second. Okay, so if we search, and sometimes depending on the actual unit you're trying to alter, it will use a different word. Sometimes it'll only do it in speed. Okay, we'll find next, and it's not using the word liter. So let's search speed. Again, it's not written in stone as to what word that particular programmed used. Okay, this is to fold the grain tank. In other words, to fold the equipment. It's set at a speed scale of 1. Too slow. Speed it up a little bit, close it up a little faster. I changed it to 2. You can also do it for the pipe outs section itself. Here's the pipe out, the mouse speed factor is 1.2. Where am I here? There's the chopper, and where is it here now? This is how we, okay, this is the fold pipe. Speed scale is still 1. I can even do decimals. Let's pick it up by 50% by adding 0.5 to that. Okay, so I have something to save. We'll go and find the next scale. Okay, here is the empty speed. This is how fast the harvester grain tank will load into your trailer. Okay, right now it's sort of set at 3820, and that is, I believe the original was somewhere around 300 or 500 or something like that, but that's when this harvester only held 10,000 liters. Now it holds 8,000 liters. So let's just change this to an even, or 80,000 liters, pardon me. Let's change this to an even 8,000 liters, or 8,000 liters per second. This means this harvester now unloads in 10 seconds, which is far more like not watching paint dry. And again, we cannot have the game running. I can alter it, but I can't save it. So I'm just going to close the game, and we're going to come up here. We're going to save and close. And because this is not in my modded folder, I'm actually altering the game itself. I don't have the dialog box to save or update the archive. And that's it. You'll go into the game. You'll be holding 80,000 liters. It'll empty a lot faster. We've talked about the header. It's going to work a lot faster, and it's going to do a lot more fruit types. If you found this interesting, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. Encourages me to try and improve my content and to continue doing what I'm doing. And so if you find any of this is value, please do like and subscribe. And that'll be it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.